crying can be very important for moving forward. The difference is that when it comes to moving forward, and I think that I say this, as everybody should speak to their associated healthcare professionals, and this is not medical advice, etc., 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 etc. But I think that there's a very both beautiful and extremely powerful shift that's happening in the world of, let's say, healing/therapy, which is, it's a lot of things, but a big part of this shift is, I think, a shift towards the emphasis being moving forward, healing, rather than looking back. Right? And credit where it's due to Freud. We wouldn't have any of the therapy and healing that we have today without him, because he's the great granddaddy of the whole thing. But at the end of the day, he didn't quite get it right, which is fair enough, right? Things happen in steps and in stages, and the same thing with science, right? The early scientists got everything completely wrong, but the journey that they started was the beginning of the journey that got us here. But the focus back, the emphasis, an approach that emphasizes looking at the problems and then immersing ourselves in problems can often not necessarily lead to forward movement, as much as an approach that looks at the present, looks at what we need moving forward, and focuses on that. Now, where I'm going with this is, both of these approaches will, let's say, for a person who has years of accumulated, unexpressed negative emotion, grief, sadness, pain, both of these approaches are probably going to involve a lot of crying. The difference is that the first approach is, look at all of these problems and cry about them. The second approach is, what do I need to do to move forward? This is what I need to move forward. To move forward, and let's say somatic approaches will generally built on things like tuning into what we're feeling inside, tuning into what's going into our bodies, and then being curious and inquiring about, what does that mean? What does my body need? What's it asking for? Does it need comfort? Does it need a hug? Does it just need to cry? And then facilitating, supporting the body in whatever it is that it needs to move forward, which might involve crying. The difference is that one approach is, this and this and this problem, all of these things happen, all of these things are so bad, cry. The second approach is, and very often with this forward-oriented somatic approach, a person can cry, have no idea what it is that they're crying about, and it doesn't matter. Because what happened was they tuned into their body, they became aware, and they felt there was this need inside to express something through crying. And the body knows whatever that thing is that's inside that needs to be expressed, the body knows, which is why the person feels the need to cry. The mind doesn't need to know what's the thing I'm crying about. If the mind can let go enough to respect the fact that clearly there is this feeling of a need to express sadness or grief and to cry, and to allow that to be expressed, and then the body expresses that in crying, whether the person knows what they're crying about or not in their head doesn't necessarily matter. Right? The approach here is, and very often what will happen is, in a journey of taking this approach is, memories will come up, sensations will come up, and then a person will remember things and become aware of things and what issues were and what happened. But that's not the primary emphasis, right? That's the difference. Is the primary emphasis on the problems, on the challenges, or is the primary emphasis on moving forward? Both of them are going to include probably awareness of challenges, of pain. Both of them are going to include crying. Both of them are going to include feeling negative emotion, feeling discomfort, expressing through tears, rage, whatever it is. But one of them is focusing on the the source of pain and crying about that. One of them is focusing on forward movement.